This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Wednesday, February 13th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So just a quick thing to go over before we get started with our morning. For anyone that was not in the chat or Traders Exchange yesterday, I just want to reiterate. So we are now basically in a partnership with TradeStation. So I'm going to give everyone will have the details, and we're going to make a channel for it, and we're going to post everything up. But we basically, from now on, what's going to happen is any student from ATC, what TradeStation is going to do is they're going to pay for their classes by basically refunding ticket charges. And I'm going to give all the information exactly how that's going to work. As I explained yesterday, any students that are already students will be able to basically be backdated into that. So that will start happening as of pretty much this week. So I have a meeting this afternoon with them, and I will give the details to everyone afterwards. So definitely something very, very exciting for for our future going forward here. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So let's talk about what's going on with the stocks this morning. So first thing we're going to be looking at is Teva. Teva has 7.2 million shares being traded already, which is just is incredible. Now, I do want to tell you one thing. This is going to be not necessarily, because depending on when a level gets, we're going to get an easy trade out of it at some point, but most of what you're going to be seeing within Teva is not going to be that easy to read. You can see how big of a mix of what we're actually getting coming in is. I mean, the orders are huge. And based off of the prints that we're seeing already happening, it's not going to, like I said, it's just not going to be one of the easier reads that we're having out there. But we do have buying at that 17 level. We also have some below the bid prints. It's kind of pulled back, and it doesn't really pull back as much as we would expect, especially with the range that we have already falling underneath that 1950, coming all the way down to that 1650 level. So you really, if you're going to trade this, you really want to find something that's completely definitive, that gives you just we talked about this yesterday in Traders Exchange. You want to find something that really gives you a definitive, this is what's going to happen. As of right now, the 17 level is not an easy one. You can see how many games they've been playing, going up and down and all over the place. But overall, we definitely are seeing that covering coming in at that 17 level at this moment. So based off the prints that we just saw coming back in, I would expect a little bit more of a pullback before we would see, a pretty decent move back towards that upside. But once again, the prints are just very, very mixed. So keep that in mind going forward this morning. Next is ATVI. So ATVI, it's not the prettiest stock out there. We could see yesterday in the aftermarket, it looks like they had earnings, or I really could care less what the reason, the catalyst for the actual movement coming in is, but certainly should see a bigger range than usual. On average, trades at $1.90, and we should definitely see a lot more than that based off what we have going on so far. So you can see one of the things that we have is coming into that 43 level. We have a few ask prints coming in, not as much as I would really like to see, but one thing that I do see is that 16,000 shares at 43. So it definitely going to be expecting a pull down from everything that we're seeing. One of the spots that I'm going to be looking at is right here, where that red line comes in, right around 42.37, right in that area. But once if we break here, which we're going to, based off the ask prints that we have in from that pullback, this would be the most logical spot for us to look for it to drop, to then look for a trigger back towards that top side. Does anyone have a date for Cron earnings? I'd have to look. Earningswhisperer.com is probably the spot, that one of the best spots to look for earnings dates and stuff like that, for anybody that doesn't know. But overall, going to be looking for this thing to pull back based off those ask prints at 43 before we end up coming back up. The most logical spot and easiest, most conservative price target is going to be that 43.50 from where we trigger up underneath that 43 level. Next is TWLO. So TWLO, I know Keith had called this out of, I want to say back when it made its move right about here. So pretty much the end of January. I forget what it was, but it was two stocks that were trading exactly the same. And it's been pretty hot since then. I mean, you can see on average it trades $5.58. Yesterday's averages on pretty much all the ranges were very, very small because just nothing really happened. So, we're definitely due for a day where we see a lot more movement than we've been seeing so far this week. I mean, Monday and Tuesday, they almost looked like holidays, to be completely honest. There just was not much going on at all. But coming into here, you can see we do have selling, but we have a little bit of new buying. We're going to need to see more new buying than this, though, in order for this thing to really run. One thing that you do have to understand, though, is that the orders are absolutely non-existent. So even, two prints, 3,000, 1,000, like for instance right here, means a lot because there's just not a lot of orders out there for them to be able to buy. So the difficulty of trade is 100% there. We know we're going to see selling, especially when a stock's up from 108. You're talking about over a $10 move. We know the selling's going to come in. It's just a matter of getting that new buying to show us that it's going to be able to continue. I really would like to see a little bit more than what we have going on right now, but we'll kind of take it from there. And once again, it does have new buying. It's just not as much as I would like to see. I'm not worried about the selling as always. I'm worried about that new buying coming in to tell us that we're going to be able to have more room. And then DBD, this is on my side list for right now. And one of the reasons being is that the new buying that came in at that 7 level just wasn't as much as I would like at all. I mean, you're talking about, three prints or so that kind of mixed in with some bid prints. There is a little bit of buying that came in at that 680 point, which we've kind of not necessarily satisfied yet, but we've already kind of moved from there. So we need to see more buying coming in at that 7 level for us to be able to have any chance of this thing really being able to take off. So we'll kind of, once again, it's on the side list for that reason, and we'll take it from there. But unless we get that new buying coming in, we're not going to see this thing be able to do anything. We're going to end up and eventually just seeing a sell off, bringing this thing right back down to where it came from. They haven't released official date yet, but people are saying March. Okay. All right, so other than that, once again, it's just a pretty slow pre-market. Nothing crazy going on out there. Let's take a look at our scanners. Let's see if anything new has popped up. SOLO, absolute garbage. DBD, we've already spoken about. GURN, I'm never, ever, probably ever in the time that you're for as long as you're in this chat room, am I going to put this on our list as a day trade? It really just never is. I mean, it's made moves here or there, but for the most part, this thing, it's going to end up being very, very quantity, just not something I'm going to be paying attention to. MGNX, we have 396,000 shares. It's not terrible. The volume's not, it's decent. And if we come over here, we could see underneath that 22 level, we did have a decent burst of buying coming in there, as well as that 2150. So it's got a little bit new buying, but coming into that 22, we really have not seen much. I mean, those two prints, the orders are very thin, so it's not bad. It's actually probably number 2 going to be on my list based off of the prints that we have out there. TWLO showing us a whole bunch of that buying coming in. They're probably going to be my first, especially with the range that it usually trades. But going to need to see more new buying coming into this for this thing to be able to continue. You could see it kind of pushing up on that lower volume, just not really a lot of substance behind it. And when we see that, a lot of times we end up coming right back down. So we do have a little bit of new buying, but we're going to need to see more as we get closer to that 2250. Next is coming over. We have EXEL, 148,000 shares, but just not really much there for me. I mean, it's not terrible, but there's just not enough print. There's no real prints in there for the way that it's trading for me to be paying attention to it once the market opens. We have FCX, 210, absolute garbage, and then ATVI we've already talked about. Next one, moving over to the loser side of things. The list is a lot shorter, but there's just once again, this is not a ton really going on. Right now we have MDR. It's got a nice trend towards that downside. It's got some decent selling coming into it, but I know most people aren't going to be able to short that. Moving over, Groupon, 229, absolute garbage. It really is not a day trade 99% of the time. TIVA, we've already spoken about, and then DWT is an ETF or ETN for that case. So not a huge list, but we definitely have some good prints going on out there. Our everyday stocks, they're all jumped up a little bit overnight, but there's just no real prints going on for us to even talk about any of them yet. So we definitely have, a decent list to be looking at. Just a lot of things is going to need that new buying to come in to show us that they're going to be able to, to continue and really make any other type of move or substantial move towards that upside. All right. Anything else out there that I missed? Anything else going on? All right, yeah, that looks to be about it. All right, guys, so let's get ready for our morning. Just, basically just for the past 2 days that we've seen, things have been very slow, and the volume has kind of tapered off a lot earlier than we're used to. So just keep that in mind. Let's make sure there's no reason to rush. We're going to have at least a half hour of good movements, and let's just make sure that first trade's the most important, especially when the volume dies very early within the day. The first trade is so important because of the fact that we might not be able to find another one as the day comes on. And now, we'll get them here and there, but there just hasn't been a high quantity of the amount of trades that we're able to make. So let's make sure we focus on one stock, we get our prints, and we make sure that we execute. All right, guys, so I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.